It's crazy how you can go from being Joe Blow to everybody on your dick, no homo. Bought my whole family whip, no Volvo. Next time I'm in church, please no photo. This is Mark Belbin, SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Damn, I should have been black. Anyway, we have questions to get to here today for the Power Project from HowMuchYouBench.net, the Slingshot, and the only freaking strength magazine in the world, thepowermagazine.com. Before I get to these questions, I got a question about back thickness, got a question about estrogen, got a bunch of questions about a bunch of stuff. Too many questions, not enough answers. Anyway, to make the world a better place to lift, I wanted to share with you these non-sponsoring products. Everyone always thinks that everything I plug is a sponsorship, but this is just stuff I've stumbled upon to make the world a better place to lift. So this is an almond honey bar called the Rise Protein Bar. 20 grams of protein. It's got whey protein. If you read the back of it, they're kind of committed to having a low amount of ingredients. I think there's only 5 or 6 ingredients in there. So that's pretty cool. It's a good thing to help curb your appetite. The stats on it, the carbohydrates on it are about 20 grams of carbs in there, 13 grams of sugar. For those of you that are on carb night and are all worried about carb intake and stuff like that, if you're still in the beginning process of carb night, try to avoid those types of things. But if you're in the latter part of carb night and you've already lost some body fat and you're having cravings, that's a lot better than just eating a candy bar. So that's a decent option. We also have Omega 3D from a company called Nordic Naturals. This is just an omega-3 product, but it's pretty high dose, high potency. Lemon flavor. Doesn't taste great. Doesn't taste horrible, though. Gulp down a little bit here and there throughout the day, and you got your omega-3s in there for the day. And you're also getting a lot of vitamin D3, which is very important. And you're also, vitamin D3, by the way, can help ward off getting sick, basically. So that's what that's for. Coconut oil. This, my friends, is a game changer in my opinion. This shit's great. This is a liquid coconut oil from a company called Nature's Way. 93% MCTs. Normally, coconut oil is about 67 or 70% MCT. So this is almost straight MCT oil, but in coconut form. Regular MCT oil tastes really gross. This doesn't taste good, but it's not gross. And it can also be put in cold and hot stuff. You can even store it in a refrigerator, and it still stays in this liquidy form here that you can see. So anyway, I wanted to share those products with you before we get to these questions. This guy has a question. This guy's from Canada, Adrian Marshall. You know those Canadians with their beady little eyes and their split heads. His question is about back width. He wants to get his back bigger. He didn't really say why, but just quickly on back training and baby got back. Whenever trying to pursue a bigger bench squat or deadlift, it's great to work on back thickness, and it's great to work on getting a bigger back. A bigger back will give you larger support muscles for any one of those 3 lifts, and I would even say it would also transfer over even into like overhead pressing and a lot of other movements that you're going to do in the gym. Old school, old-fashioned things such as pull-ups, bent over rows, seated rows, all those types of movements are the best movements for building up a back. A one-arm dumbbell row, of course, which is called a croc row, if you do it with tons of weight and bleed all over the place. Any of those exercises will do, but if you're really in search of hypertrophy and you're really in search of trying to just make your back a lot bigger and pack a lot of size and mass onto it, I do believe that it's important to have a day devoted for your back. I mean, you can do back and shoulders, or you can do back and triceps, or back and however you want to really do it. But I would have a day that's devoted to back. I would also have that day start out with back training. It could be even a day that you deadlift, and it could be after you deadlift, you do a bunch of bent over rows, shrugs, and those kinds of things. However, after deadlifting, sometimes you're pretty dead. So that may cut into your training time and the kind of economy of your of your sets and your reps because you might just be a little bit fatigued. Also, I'd suggest looking into using some straps here and there. Some people are kind of against it, but the straps are going to allow you to do more weight for more reps, for more sets, and also take away from the biceps and some of the other smaller muscle groups, going to put more focus on the lats. You're asking more so about back thickness than anything else than you are about just the straight width of your back. And in talking in those terms, now you kind of open up the door to just basically talk about, you got the bench, squat, and deadlift, my friend. Benching, squatting, and deadlifting will all help build up your back. They're not going to target them the same way that it would if you were doing pull-ups and chin-ups and those types of movements, but heavy deadlifting certainly will help build up the lats quite a bit. Also, things like snatch grip deadlifts can be extremely beneficial to build up just the entire back, from the back of your head to the bottom of your heels. It will help build up just about everything. So there are some suggestions on that. Now let's get to the next question. This question is about an insulin spike. This guy has a question about carb night. He's kind of curious about, I'm curious if this can be, so he wants to know if he can have like carbs, intra-workout carbs, and he's also taking carbs kind of a little bit before his training session. And the answer is very simple. If you're too fat, no. If you're not too fat, then yes. I don't really recommend carbs before a training session unless you already feel like you're lean enough, but I also don't recommend carbs in a liquid form before a training session. As you're mentioning here, I'd rather see you eat, maybe a little bit of carbohydrates, mid-morning, afternoonish, and then your training session is at like 4 or 5 or whatever it is. Even loading up with a lot of carbohydrates right before a training session, I don't think is a great idea. For several reasons that I'm not going to really get into right now, but just mainly just because they can make you sluggish. A little bit of carbs can also go a long way. You realize that, and you can do that at any time during the day if you feel like you're lean enough. If you don't feel like you're lean enough, get yourself a goal. Let's just say you want to be 220 pounds and you want to be 10% body fat. Get yourself down to that level first and then make adjustments to the diet. But until that time, get your shit together, don't eat any carbs, and make sure you're sticking to the plan. Got it? All right. I know, Stan Efferding, he just competed. He was as big as a house, and I think when he actually lifted, he was probably about 290 or so. He was huge, just enormous. And now he's dropped down. I think he's already in the 270-pound range right now. After the last competition, he's dropped some water and stuff like that. But basically, he's told me he's not eating any carbohydrates except for once a week. The night before he does his deadlifting, he'll hammer down some pasta. And so he's only doing that once a week. And right now, he's not taking any carbs post-workout because he said he's just simply too fat. And if the rhino says he's too fat, then that probably means the freaking rest of us are way too fat as well, sadly enough. All right, we got a question about estrogen and high estrogen levels. This guy wants to know, what do I recommend for high estrogen levels? It sounds to me like you're asking about how to get higher estrogen levels. For that, I would refer to my friend, Jesse Megamind Burdick. He has extremely high estrogen levels pretty much at all times, and he would be a fantastic resource for that topic. But no, seriously, you're asking about how to kind of lower estrogen levels. I think whenever it comes to any of this stuff, insulin sensitivity, estrogen levels, hormonal imbalances, and blah, blah, blah. And even as far as talking about the CNS and all that kind of stuff, it's really just about taking care of your body. I showed you this guy here earlier. I showed you the coconut oil earlier. Staying on top of the healthy fats, eating good quality proteins, avoiding junk, avoiding eating too much processed foods, drinking clean water, and so on and so forth, getting plenty of sleep, plenty of rest, taking branched-chain amino acids, getting post-workout nutrition squared away, having your nutrition throughout the day squared away. All these types of things are going to be beneficial towards keeping those estrogen levels lower and keeping your usually if those things are intact, normally your hormone levels are going to be better. Maybe they still suck, but maybe they'll be better. And then in your situation here, you mentioned that you're coming off of a cycle, which I would assume that means that you're taking illegal products, my friend, which I do not recommend. But you also talk about sensitive nipples, and that's a sensitive topic for a sensitive guy. What you're going to want to do with that is find an anti-estrogen. There's a lot of websites you can go to. They're called peptide websites. Google them, look them up, find one that looks somewhat on the up and up, and order some form of anti-estrogen. The names are eluding me right now, but you'll find them on there. There's a bunch of different stuff. Letrozole, I believe, is one of them. I can't remember there's just a bunch of stupid names anyway. But anyway, that kind of stuff's going to help you to help lower those estrogen levels, get rid of that sensitivity. Also, by coming off and stuff, hopefully that'll kind of square itself away. And let's see, we got one more question to get to here. Actually, we're out of time, so I need to skedaddle. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv. That wasn't that good. That wasn't that enthusiastic. Let me try it again. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv.